Most men are playing the attraction game completely blind. And I do not mean that harshly. I mean it literally. You have been handed a set of rules that describe maybe 10% of what is actually happening and then told to wonder why you keep losing. You were taught to focus on the gym, the car, the opening line, the confidence walk. And those things have their place. They might get you through the front door, but they will never keep you in the room. Because underneath all of that surface level stuff, there is an entirely different language running. A hidden emotional script that most men never learn to read. And if you cannot speak that language, it does not matter how attractive you are, how funny you are, how much effort you put in, you will always be replaceable. You will always be the guy things seem to fizzle out with just when they were getting good. You will always be wondering what went wrong when from the outside everything looked like it was going right. Today that changes, because I am going to walk you through 6 specific signals of deep emotional attraction that most men completely miss. Not the obvious stuff. Not the hair flip or the arm touch or the prolonged eye contact. The deeper signals, the ones that happen beneath the surface, in her behavior, her memory, her body language, and the way she slowly lets you into the parts of herself she protects most carefully. These signals are the real scoreboard, and once you know how to read them, you will never look at attraction the same way again. But first, I need to give you a foundational piece of understanding that everything else builds on. There are 2 completely different kinds of attraction, and most men treat them like they are the same thing. Physical attraction is common. It is genuinely everywhere. A woman can walk through a crowded room and find 100 men physically appealing without feeling a real pull toward any of them. Physical attraction happens fast and fades just as fast. It is the spark but not the fire. Emotional attraction is something else entirely. It is slower to build but infinitely more powerful once it takes hold. It is the thing that makes her ignore a man who looks like a model to text the man who made her feel understood at 2 in the morning. It does not follow logic. It does not respond to effort in the way you expect. It responds to presence, to safety, to the specific feeling that you and only you understand something about her that most people have never even tried to see. When emotional attraction ignites, you stop being that guy she is seeing, and you become the standard she measures every other man against. You stop being optional and start being necessary. And the signs that it is happening are almost never what men expect them to look like. The first signal is what I want to call the memory vault. And to understand why this matters so much, you need to understand something about how human memory actually works. The brain is not a camera. It does not record everything equally. It is ruthlessly selective. It is constantly deleting information that does not matter in order to save energy for what does. This is why you can walk past the same person every day for a year and not remember the color of their jacket. But you can remember word for word something someone said to you a decade ago that made you feel something significant. The brain has a tagging system. Information that arrives without emotional charge gets filtered out almost immediately. But the moment emotion is attached to a piece of information, the brain flags it as important and moves it into long-term storage. So when a woman remembers a small throwaway detail you mentioned 3 weeks ago, something about your childhood dog, or the fact that you do not like a certain food or a stressful meeting you mentioned once in passing, she is not just being polite. She is showing you a biological leak. Because while you were talking, her brain was not passively listening. It was running on emotional overdrive. It was actively tagging your words as significant, as worth keeping, as information about a person who matters. You have been moved inside her nervous system from the category of background noise into the category of emotionally important. And her memory is the involuntary proof of that. You cannot fake this response. The brain does not archive data about people it does not care about. If she remembers the small things, you are already more significant to her than she may have said out loud. The second signal is the vulnerability shift. And this one runs completely counter to what most men expect. There is a widespread assumption that a woman who is attracted to you will always try to show you her best self. That she will stay polished and composed and only reveal the happy, charming version of herself because she wants to impress you. And that is true in the very early stages. Researchers actually call this the performance phase. But here's the critical thing to understand. Staying in that performance phase indefinitely is actually a sign of emotional distance. It means she has not invested her heart fully yet. She is still protecting herself. She is still keeping the real version of herself in reserve because she does not yet feel safe enough to let it out. The researcher Brené Brown spent years studying human connection and found something that seems counterintuitive until you really sit with it. Real intimacy, deep, lasting emotional attachment, is impossible without what she calls messy vulnerability. The moment a woman starts showing you the unpolished, unfiltered, imperfect version of herself is the moment real connection begins. When she vents about something genuinely frustrating in her life. When she tells you she is having a hard day and is not okay. When she lets you see her when she is tired and stressed and not performing for anyone. Most men misread this completely. They think she is being difficult or bringing negativity into the dynamic. That is one of the most costly misreadings you can make. Because what she is actually doing is handing you something she does not hand out freely. She is showing you her real self. She is dropping the performance because she has decided, at a level below conscious thought, that you are the only person safe enough to handle what is actually true about her. She is not testing your patience. She is trusting your strength. And the men who receive that vulnerability with steadiness and genuine care become the men she cannot imagine her life without. The third signal is something relationship researchers call the low-stakes bid, and it is one of the most telling signals of all precisely because it looks like nothing on the surface. She sends you a meme with no caption. She shares a link to a song she is listening to. She takes a photo of something strange she saw walking down the street and sends it to you without explanation. Most men look at these messages and think, okay, she is bored or not sure what to do with this, but that is not what is happening at all. These small, seemingly random messages are what Dr. John Gottman calls bids for connection, and they are psychological gold. Because here is what is actually going on beneath the surface. In that moment, she experienced something, a flash of joy, a funny observation, a moment of curiosity, and before she even consciously thought about it, her brain sent that experience directly to you, not to her best friend. Not to her sister, to you. You have become her default setting for emotional sharing. You have become the person her mind goes to automatically when something worth sharing happens. That is not a small thing. That is not someone who is bored. That is someone whose inner emotional life has started to include you as a central figure. When she sends you a video that reminded her of a conversation you had a week ago, she is telling you that you exist in her thoughts even when you are not there. That you occupy a high priority space in her mental world that she is not handing out to everyone. These bids are almost never strategic or calculated. They are the result of her subconscious mind having already linked her positive emotions to your presence. And every time you receive one and respond with genuine warmth and engagement, you strengthen that link. Now I want to talk about the fourth signal, because this is the one where most men completely lose the plot. And I mean that. This is the exact moment where so many men throw away something that was actually working because they misread biology as manipulation. I am talking about the test. When a woman starts to genuinely care about you, when the emotional stakes get high enough that the idea of things going wrong actually frightens her, her subconscious mind begins to run a stress test on you. She might pull back her level of attention slightly to see how you respond. She might share a strong opinion that is slightly controversial to see whether you will hold your ground or immediately fold to agree with her. She might cancel a plan at the last minute or take a little longer to respond than usual. And most men hit these moments and one of two things happens. Either they panic and start chasing with increased urgency and attention, which signals insecurity and fear. Or they get cold and defensive, which signals emotional volatility. Both of those responses confirm exactly what she was afraid of. That underneath the composed surface, there is someone who will crumble or react badly when things get complicated. But here is the truth of what is actually happening when she runs these tests. She is not doing it because she wants to push you away. She is doing it because she is starting to care so much that the thought of making the wrong choice about you genuinely scares her. She cannot afford to be wrong. So she needs to know with real certainty that the steadiness you have shown her is not a performance. That when things get difficult, when the emotional weight increases, you will not become someone unrecognizable. The man who passes these tests is not the man who never feels the pressure of them. It is the man who feels it and remains warm and grounded anyway, who does not chase and does not withdraw, who stays exactly himself. Because that steadiness in the face of pressure is the most powerful thing you can communicate. It tells her that you are a safe harbor. And a woman who has found a safe harbor does not let it go. The fifth signal lives in the body, and it operates at a level so deep that she genuinely cannot fake it even if she wanted to. It is called mirroring, and it is one of the most reliable windows into the subconscious that exists in human behavior. When a woman feels a deep emotional pull towards someone, her brain's mirror neurons begin to activate in a way that causes her to replicate the other person's physical state. If you lean back, she leans back. If your voice drops softer, hers follows. She might unconsciously match your breathing rhythm, your walking pace, the tempo of the way you speak. This is not something she is choosing to do. It is her nervous system's way of saying, I am safe here and I want to be in alignment with this person. It is a biological merging of two nervous systems, and it is physically impossible to sustain as a performance. But mirroring is just part of the picture. What you also need to watch for is what I call the guard drop. In the early stages of any connection, most people are performing, managing their image, sitting in ways that look good, laughing in the polished, socially acceptable way rather than the real way, carefully filtering what they say to seem more appealing. But when real emotional attraction takes hold, the performance starts to fall away. You will notice it in specific, unmistakable ways. Her laugh changes. Not the polite, composed laugh she uses in social situations, but a deep, unfiltered laugh that surprises even her, the kind she might feel slightly embarrassed by because it is too real and too loud and too her. She stops sitting in flattering positions and starts sitting in comfortable ones. She starts sharing the weirder parts of herself, the nerdy obsessions, the odd thoughts she usually keeps to herself, the opinions she does not share with most people because she worries they will not understand. That unpolished, unedited version of herself is not something she shows everyone. It is a private gift reserved for the person she trusts most completely. When she lets you see it, you have done something most men never manage to do. You have gotten past the outer layer and into the real one. And once you are in there, the connection operates on an entirely different level. The sixth and final signal is what I think of as the sacred inner circle. And it requires you to understand something about how women think about the people in their lives. For most women, the inner circle is not just a social category. It is a carefully protected emotional ecosystem. The people inside it have earned their place through sustained trust and genuine understanding. So when she starts to introduce you to that world, when she mentions you to her best friend or her sister, when she brings you into the conversations and the relationships that define her closest bonds, she is doing something that carries real risk for her. She is putting her reputation on the line with the people whose opinions matter most to her. She is saying with her actions that she trusts you enough to let you touch the parts of her life that she protects most fiercely. She does not do this for men she only finds attractive. She does this for the man she is genuinely emotionally invested in, the man she can already see in the longer version of her life. But the inner circle is not just about the people around her. It is also about the landscape of her own private inner world. When she starts sharing things that have no practical purpose, a memory from childhood that surfaced randomly, a fear she has never quite been able to explain to anyone, a dream she had that she cannot stop thinking about, she is doing something profound. She is handing you the keys to her internal vault. She is saying, in the most intimate way a person can say anything, I want to be known by you. Not just seen, known. And at that stage, what is happening between you is no longer attraction in the ordinary sense of the word. It has become something more like recognition. Two people discovering that they are capable of seeing each other completely. Here is the thing I want to leave you with, because it is the truth underneath everything I have shared today. The men who create this kind of deep, lasting, unshakable emotional connection are not the ones who figured out the best strategies or executed the most flawless approach. They are the men who stopped obsessing over whether she likes them and started focusing entirely on being a genuinely safe, grounded, present person for her to exist around. When she knows she can be completely herself in your presence, the messy parts and the brilliant parts and everything in between, and still be fully wanted, fully chosen, fully seen, that is when emotional attraction stops being something that might fade and becomes something that only deepens over time. You are not trying to win a game. You are building a connection that feels like the safest place she has ever been. Do that, and you will never have to wonder if she is choosing you. You will be able to see it in everything she does.